Hello everyone, here's an update from Wellington. I've been a bit naughty in the last couple of days. I haven't been here all that much. I've had to catch up on some other things, work and I suppose life administration stuff. So I haven't been here all that much, but I thought I'd come in and do a recording tonight for a short time. And I'm over on the side of the grounds that's called, that the protesters are calling the Wall of Wisdom. So this is the Wall of Wisdom here. As you can see there, people have been very busy. Lots of artwork everywhere on the ground and on the wall. And you might recognize someone over there in the distance. That's Leighton Baker. He's often on site, probably more than me. And anyway, in fact, I saw Jay Russino's, that's his back to us right there. I was just speaking to him very briefly now before the video. And I actually don't really find it comfortable doing live streams, but I do them anyway because I'm still building this team for Conserve NZ anyway, so I probably hopefully we'll get more people on board soon. But it's been good to have someone over in Picton at the moment who's been recording live streams over there. His name's Steve. So we've got Wellington covered and we've got Picton covered, so that's pretty cool. And I was reading a news article before where they're predicting that maybe people will be here for 3 months, anything up to 3 months. And of course the media aren't experts on what the protesters are doing. The best people to ask is actually the protesters themselves, which is something the media haven't really learned yet. But if they're predicting that, they may not be far off, because the night before this protest started, or before this occupation started, that's what one of the first arrivals said to me here in Wellington. He was parked on the side of the street, one of the streets that runs off Molesworth, and he said, "This is not a protest, this is an occupation, and there's people here with demands, and if those demands don't get listened to, they will stay here." So it's good that people are starting to pick that up, including the media. I'm surprised they managed to pick that up, considering they always stand up on that balcony 100 meters away from everyone, but it's good that they're picking something up. But anyway, this is the Wall of Wisdom. It's quite a large area. You can see a lot of chalk has been used over the last few days. We're into day 10 now, aren't we? Day 10 of the occupation, so that's really good. And it's only getting bigger. You'll see soon when we walk through the crowd how huge it is today even. It's incredible, and it's obviously a lot more bearable now with the weather improving so much. But yeah, so I actually just ran into a guy here. His name's Harry. This is Harry here. Yeah. And
my name's Harry Jones from Whakatoetoi, Auckland. I'm here for my family basically, and for all the families in New Zealand who've been suffering for the mandates. Just coming to support, and also just to see what was happening around Parliament grounds. And just to do what I can to make sure everything's going peaceful, going well. And this Wall of Wisdom here, it's really filled up. So a lot of the messages have been written over. There's really quite a lot you can look at. I don't know. I really don't know how they got all the way up there.
Yeah.
With some like stilts or with wings or something.
Probably
I can believe there's people with wings here.
Yeah, there's
so
lots of
many
angels here, so yeah.
So there's Be Brave.
Yeah.
There's some Bible quotes there.
Yeah.
John 1:9.
Yeah.
Mana enriching energy only.
Right.
So, and we also, you can see where people are from. So Ngāpuhi.
Yeah.
Over there's Te Rarawa. The other people put Auckland, Tauranga, 274. I'm pretty sure that's Otara.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no, jokes.
What do the numbers mean? What does that? How does that fit into?
It'd be a phone code. So
I see.
like,
Okay.
275, 274, 279,
Sure. Yeah.
278. These are all phone codes for those parts of South Auckland.
Sure. Yeah.
We're getting a lot of people from Auckland, from Northland coming here.
Gotcha.
It's been really amazing to ask people where you're from, and they've come so far, or maybe they're locals and they're glad people have come here.
Yeah.
And we've got father, mother, son, daughter, little kids drawing pictures, drawing little... We'll go have a look at that.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Also, all along the ground.
Yeah.
So share the love.
Yeah.
It's really huge piece of art.
There's a few naughty things here, but that's okay. It's not a family show. Maybe it is a family show. I don't know. I haven't rated our page actually.
Very family friendly. People are making sure there's no drugs and alcohol in the grounds.
In that sense,
which
yes.
is really good. Keeping people safe as well.
Yeah.
We've got parliamentary workers walking through, even school kids walking through.
Yeah.
Everyone's been very respectful. If someone, I've seen people at the protest line there, get a bit angry, and there's always someone there to support them and say, look, we're in it together, and with their strength and fellowship. So it's been really beautiful. So some folks from Rarotonga, Masterton.
Wow, Rarotonga,
other people signing their names for the bros. Yes, we're doing it for our brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers.
In some cases, even if they don't realise that or they don't appreciate that just yet, hopefully they will one day. But
no, that's right. We're there was a sign which I was holding up to the police line earlier today, which said we're fighting for your freedoms as well. Yeah. Because as we know, police have lost their jobs, mandates. It's not like us and them. It's all of us.
I think when I think of what police do, when someone aspires to be a police officer, they're thinking about making a change in the community, doing something worthwhile, right?
So,
So when you think about what they've been doing over the last 2 years in regards to the COVID response, to me it's just it's such a degradation of what police typically do, right? And it would get in the way of a lot of important police work, and I'm sure they're feeling it as well. And a lot of them don't agree with government policy or even getting involved with the politics of it. They would rather just do their jobs and focus on important things, things that make a difference in the community. So
I agree.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's some young artists. This is our future as well. The kids are our future, and that's a big reason why people are here. A lady earlier today made a speech about living in a retirement home, retirement village. That was really touching.
Yeah.
It was an old lady by the name of Glennis.
Okay.
And she sung a couple numbers on her ukulele. That was very sweet, very sweet.
Yeah.
And she just expressed a lot of sadness, also a lot of disappointment and kind of shock to how they've been treated. They said it's so fun to go to the community centre, to go to the retirement home cafe, and to get that connection with people. Yeah. And they were, discriminated against because of their medical decision. So it was as well as a lot of these stories being really uplifting. A lot of them are very, very heartbreaking. And,
It sounds like, from what I've gathered from certain sources, not direct sources, but things I've read online or things I've heard online, that both here and overseas, there's been a lot of elder abuse that's happened.
She said we get kind of treated like dogs, and I mean before 2020, there were incidents of that happening,
that's
elder
right.
abuse, and so this kind of gives people, gives bullies an excuse. Not just in a retirement home, but we're talking about the workplace, we're talking about the supermarket, the dairy. It does give an excuse to people that perhaps don't have much meaning in their life to become aggro, to become kind of involved in wanting people to mask up or get vax, and it's very disappointing.
And I just think as well with elderly, the fact that they're more restricted than normal. It's just likely to cause more neglect and things like that. So
yes. There's thousands upon thousands of stories of people not being able to see their loved ones, their kuia, their matua, for grandkids to see their grandfather, grandmother.
And you know what I think is quite disappointing is the way a lot of elderly people, obviously there are exceptions because you heard some speaking today, but a lot of elderly people have had a media in the past where, yes, there may be some things that went on that wasn't quite upfront, but it was nowhere near it was nothing like what we're seeing now. And I think a lot of those people would still trust the media. They're probably not internet savvy so much, or maybe don't use it as much as a lot of us where we do more research. So they're relying on
the news, the
primetime
TV,
news,
newspapers,
and the primetime news is clearly deceiving people. We know that.
Exactly. Then you have like beautiful people like Carol Saki.
Yeah, sure.
From Wake Up New Zealand. And she's a bit of a performative art over there. And she's very knowledgeable, and in fact she was one of the first people to get threatened with arrest for just protesting, just being in public at Aotea Square in Auckland.
She's actually a very committed researcher. She does a lot of research on the United Nations and their agendas, so she's a very good source of information.
She's a beautiful soul. She really cares, and she's it was quite disgusting what happened to her in March or April in 2020 when the first lockdowns happened, and there were people coming out saying, hey, this is wrong. I mean, even in the beginning, even in the very beginning, we say, no, we can't just lose our liberties for this, or anything, it's sacred, it's our rights are from God, from our Creator.
The first time I met Carol Saki was in 2020 here in Wellington. I've never actually been up to any protests up in Auckland. I probably should do that, but I haven't. And she, there was actually an event that Kyle Chapman was involved in, and several others. Some of these people, they have quite long histories of protest and things. And what I like about those people is they were very early, right? And they were doing it when it was much more difficult to do it. You were more made into a pariah. There was more pressure against you to stand up, but those guys were willing to do it. That's why I call them pioneers or heroes or whatever. I've done a few write-ups of a few of those people. I haven't done them all yet. I'd like to keep doing more, like a little profile of some of the earlier freedom fighters, let's say, in New Zealand.
Adam Nuttall and Kyle Chapman were, I think, the first in Christchurch to be arrested for standing very peaceably at the Bridge of Remembrance in
that's
Christchurch.
Right.
It's a very important place, and they did it with such soul and such courage. How they dealt with their arrest and afterwards going to court. It's just amazing to see those guys.
What I found a little bit disappointing in 2021 when that happened was the way a lot of the people who were on the same side said, it's good to be against what's happening, but they're not going the right way about it. They should wait until you get to level 3 or level 2 and then protest, right? Because then you're not going to get arrested. But to me, if everyone did that, we would never get anything achieved. It's sort of like this protest here. If people thought, oh no, we shouldn't park on the roads because that's you're not supposed to do that, so I'm not going to do that. You shouldn't camp out at Parliament because you're not supposed to do that, so I'm not going to do that. Then nothing gets done. So I appreciate the people who actually do go out a little bit out on a limb and are willing to take those risks. And Brian Tamaki is another example, even more recently. There's a lot of examples.
I agree. I mean, that's a lot of people from the beginning have said, just wait it out, it'll be over next week. Just wait it out, it'll be over next year. But our liberties are something that really, especially these fundamental liberties, can't be undermined. You can't let that fly. You can't, for whatever pandemic reason or which is I'm not really a believer in the pandemic, so to speak. As heretical as that may sound, Often when we're debating with people, it's almost like we have to give them the benefit of the doubt, or we say, assuming you're right that this is actually the case, then
I'm also a skeptic as well, because I followed a little bit of what Sam Bailey and Mark Bailey have been doing, where they talk about, you can't really isolate viruses, so this one's hard to isolate. The testing system's not reliable, the outbreak modeling's not reliable, but yet the whole COVID response is based on this shaky foundation.
Well, it's based on government oppression, which is not healthy.
No,
I would point people to terrain theory versus germ theory.
Yeah, that's right.
Also, I forgot the actual word. It's in Greek and it means bad air. So basically, the people wearing masks, the people, with certain air conditioning systems with chemicals and that. It's not as good as natural air, opening the windows, getting fresh air in nature, and so on.
I think I haven't really been good at that myself. Like, it's only really been in the last year that I've started thinking about terrain theory versus germ theory, and I picked that up from actually reading the book Virus Mania, which Sam Bailey is one of the co-authors of, or at least in the latest edition. So there's this. The book talks about Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur,
biochemistry.
Yeah, and he was actually a very good scientist. He did a lot of good things, but the problem is when he was promoting germ theory, it was almost like an overcompensation. They went too far in that direction, and now we have in our culture, even now, this sense of when there's a pandemic, or when they say that there's a pandemic, there's these killer viruses flying around trying to find people to infect.
Flu. I remember swine flu back in high school. We were told because I don't know if maybe it was every school, but our school, our high school, a lot of people would be shaking hands together. And they said that for that swine flu period, they were saying, don't shake hands, use your elbow.
All right, yeah.
It sounds familiar, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Yeah.
Which actually brings your face closer to their face, which
that's a good point,
if you believe germ theory, that'd be a wrong thing to do. In any sense, that's swine flu was kind of an earlier example of the authorities trying to enforce social distancing, pretty much antisocial behaviour, you can think of it as. Not just unsocial, but antisocial,
The book covers swine flu, and it also covers the way people had to backtrack a little bit. They present a lot of hype around swine flu, but when they found it was unfounded, they had to sort of pedal back a wee bit. And that's likely to be happening right now with COVID. We're sort of starting to see the media show sympathy. Although it's pretty dumb the way they do it. They're saying, oh no, these guys aren't really anti-vax, they're anti-mandate. But of course the question then is, why would they be anti-mandate? It's because there's issues with the vaccine. That's right. So, so it's sort of a stupid. It's almost like the label anti-vax has a negative connotation. So therefore, to be anti the vaccine, you must be a nutter. So you can't be anti-vaccine if you're going to be a sane person. It's just crazy.
I mean, I don't really see anything wrong with being an anti-vaxxer, as they say, like anti-all vaccines. I think that's kind of reasonable, to be honest.
Yeah, I've met more people like that in the last last year more so. People who actually have been skeptical about vaccines for much longer than I have.
I met a girl last night that had been injured by a HPV vaccine.
A
few years ago, and went to natural...
That was swine flu, right? That was connected with...
It's something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure, but she was injured, had some problems. A lot of the chants are like, what do we want? No mandates. I feel like it's not even about what you want. I desire this. We need to have our liberties. We need to have these mandates gone. We need to have these politicians out.
I'm not a hardcore Christian. In fact, I'm a lapsed Catholic. I call myself. I'm quite politically Catholic in the sense that I like the way Catholicism has influenced Western civilization historically. But as far as sort of being a practitioner, I'm not very good. So I do it a little bit, but I'm very inconsistent. But what has been pointed out before is that throughout the Middle Ages, people still went to church. There's been a continuum of people going to church for centuries. Yet for some reason, with this dubious virus that doesn't really get many people, and even the people who get it, the death rate is incredibly low. They've shut down all these churches, right? And that's an example to me of how this virus is so different to anything else that's come before, in the sense that they will prevent people from going to church.
Religious freedom. There's a group here from Mangere called free2church.nz.
Right, I've heard them, I think,
If you have anywhere around New Zealand, if you want to find a church that isn't gonna put you separate from whomever and or disregard you completely, if you want to find a church that will actually accept you, no mask, no anything, you go to free2church.nz.
Sure.
And you can also Google, I think it's Joshua 2 Church.
Okay,
I hope I got that right. But those guys are awesome. We met them yesterday. And
did they run a court case recently as well, or were they a different group? There was a group of church people who
I'm not sure.
They challenged
wonderful we're standing in a relatively unpopulated part of the grounds, but I'll show you very soon how crowded it is here today. There's Oturu Hokianga, so that's far north. People have come a long way to kind of be here.
Sure,
We have been waiting a long time for this.
Now, you might know the answer to this. I was trying to find this out before.
Okay.
Was it the Southland guys who started the convoy first? Was it their idea first, or was it Northland?
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you.
I get the impression it was Southland, but I have to find that out here.
This is an easel here. An artist has bought.
G'day, mate. Good. Have you been staying here quite a lot, or being here quite a lot?
Been quite a lot.
Yeah. And is that your easel, or?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Let's have a look. Wow, this is quite involved. There's a lot to it.
This is a view of the beehive from the front line.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Did that the other night when I was on there. Got that all done. But what I'm doing is I'm going along the wall now and I'm picking out as many of the phrases and messages that I can.
Sure.
Obviously there's a lot on the wall, so I'm not going to get all of them. But I just want to add in as many of them as I can.
That's a good idea. That's going to be more permanent than this, I'm sure. So
That's the whole point. It's just like I'm trying to get a mixture of different comments and quotes and just thoughts and feelings, so that there's a fair representation of what people are trying to say there. Because they're talking about all sorts of things, but there's an underlying common element.
Sure. You know what I found interesting? I was reading a news article today, and it was something along the lines of a politician or a broadcaster. I forget now who it was. It was somebody wanting to get a feel for who is here at this protest, right? And because I think the media is still trying to catch up. Who are these people? You know, who are the people that are at the protest? And the answer to that question is there is no real answer to that question. It's sort of there's a wide variety of people here. That's what I would say, and I found that out earlier from being involved with freedom groups, that there's a lot of people from different backgrounds. So,
I think that is too big a question to try and hone in but there is an answer to that.
Right.
These are the people, your people.
Yeah, the people. That's right.
Government's people.
Yeah.
So when they get framed as protesters, even though they're protesting, I don't really like the idea of them being labelled as protesters.
It's almost as you say, it's like treated like a fringe or something. Yeah, when it's not. It's more like a microcosm or a sample of New Zealand or something like that.
I had an interesting debate today with one of my colleagues who's also an artist, and it was about he's all very pro what the government has done and all that sort of stuff, and he's of the mindset that they're doing everything they can to protect us. While that may be true or not, it doesn't really like there shouldn't really be any. Okay, the majority says, and therefore
and therefore that's what we do.
minority
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
allowed
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
to express their thoughts, feelings, and opinions, and have those taken into consideration by our leaders, which they should always do, regardless of people's various stances. And they're pro-mandates of borders here as well. It's not just all, I've seen some messages on the wall which say all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
And some of the people here may not like to see that stuff, but they also have the right to, it's equal rights, it's a fundamental human right.
Yeah.
And so I sort of am hopeful that if they want the answers to those questions, actually just come out.
Yeah, that's right.
And mix and mingle and talk and communicate. I know we're going through a pandemic at the moment, but you have to sort of at some point be brave and bold and take that risk, because these people aren't convinced that a lot of them have lost their livelihoods and all that sort of stuff. It's impacted on them greatly, and they want to be able to communicate with the leaders on a face-to-face sort of level, because then that way their stories are better communicated. You're able to get a sense and a feel, as opposed to, okay, I'm going to write a letter, I'm going to write an email, I'm going to read it from distance, and that's the same as the bullshit. Well, sometimes that's not enough.
No, yeah. It's good what you just said, actually, because there's certainly some people who are, that their only criticism is the mandates, whereas my criticism is the entire COVID-19 response. And it took me a while to reach that point. In early 2020, I was open to ideas. I even read a book about how, assuming there is an identifiable virus, how it started in China, or how Bill Gates thought it started in China, who's a historian. But as time's gone by, I've come to realize that every aspect of the COVID response is incredibly flawed, from the vaccines to the use of masks, to the use of, to lockdowns, to outbreak modelling, everything.
I understand these are trying times for governments. It's actually trying times for the entire world, right? But New Zealand has always prided itself on taking firm stances, right? For example, the legislation that came to pass when we were talking about nuclear free and all that sort of stuff. And this is no different to that.
It's not, but it's being treated differently, isn't it? By some people, by the likes of Jacinda Ardern. I saw a photograph the other day of Trevor Mallard, Jacinda Ardern, and another Labour MP. I forget who it was now, but they were in a photograph, and it was probably taken in the 90s or 80s or something like that. And they had all been at a protest, and it's the same sort of thing, but Jacinda's attempting to say that this is different. She said, "Oh, this is an imported protest.
This is a vitally important protest."
Oh no, she said it's imported as though it's come from overseas.
Oh, it's imported. Well, you said no, because the pandemic has a global reach, right?
You're exactly right. That's exactly the point. So she's saying, "Oh, the protest has come from Canada." Well, it happened in Canada, and it's happening here because both governments have had this COVID response that is quite flawed. So
you always be defined by the way that you respond to these sorts of situations, right? As leaders and as members of the community. Now, a lot of these people here are your everyday people. These are the people that get up every single day and they make society function and work. Now, if they are saying that the mandates or whatever else is going on is affecting their livelihoods, and the debate I had today was about choice. It was about choice. Those people chose not to get vaccinated, or they chose not to wear the face mask, and so the consequences fall on them. What sort of response is that? Like, are we not like human beings as well? We're all human beings. So this is not about the politics. This is about fundamental human rights.
Dead right.
People want to protest because mandates have affected their lives. They're not just, here to have a big party and stuff. People's lives have been really affected,
Yeah.
and they just want the government to participate in the dialogue and like genuinely give a shit about other people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people here are hurting.
Yeah.
They're genuinely hurting right now, but they need the government to come and meet the halfway.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
Did you have any questions, or I could do I could do
I met this great artist last night. You brought this from down the road, didn't you? Yeah. So
Okay.
you bring it all the way today.
I bought it here for the night of the sort of interaction between police and protesters when things went a little bit sour.
Yeah.
I wasn't coming to this. I didn't want to come to this protest because I'm quite a sickly person.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So putting myself here in this situation during the pandemic is a very big ask. But even I saw something that made me feel like I needed to come down and I needed to take the time to listen to
Yeah.
and talk to and try to understand what's going on at the ground level.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Based on what you've said, I'll say to Harry here. So what I've found is from reading the media, I've often relied on media because things will be happening in a place where I don't live, right? But this time it's happened in Wellington, and what I found from reading the media is if I was to rely solely on the media to understand what's happening here, I would have an incredibly false impression of what it's actually like to be here. And that's why I think it's important to see live streams so you can sort of get a sense of what's happening here. And
I encourage people to come here if they can.
Yeah.
And like, it is a personal decision. You have the right not to come.
Yeah.
But if you're not here, you're not going to get the real sense of how people are genuinely feeling.
Yeah.
I'm talking to people who are trying to hold back tears when they're speaking about how things have affected them. That is a very different way of engaging with someone.
Yeah.
As opposed to sending an email, reading it in the news, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're here, this person is in front of you and they are sharing what's inside.
Yeah.
It might sound eerie to some, but this is genuine, it's very real. These people are genuinely upset about how things have affected them.
Yeah. So, were you already doing street art on Cuba Street? Like, have you been doing this for a while? Or okay, yeah.
So I'm a locally based artist in Wellington. I'm not originally from here, I'm originally from the East Coast.
Oh yeah.
I've been an art student, I've gone through the studies and stuff like that, but I'm a full-time artist, this is just what I do anyway.
Yeah.
But I wanted to come down when I saw that interaction between the police and the protesters.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah.
People, because that was quite an ugly encounter, and I had concern that it may boil over and become something that was not conducive to the whole point of the protest.
Yeah, sure.
You know? And the people have that right. It's a fundamental human right to be able to exercise. And if it's actually really beautiful that Parliament is being used in this way, because that is true freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom of expression.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. There's moments in time where people do need to come together and express in this way how they're feeling. We're very lucky that it hasn't turned into a catastrophic protest like what we've seen overseas in some other countries. And I do hope that the government and government officials take the time to realise that, it all depends on how they're going to engage with the people which are here.
That's right.
Will determine the outcome of this protest.
Yeah.
We want to do it in a peaceful manner. We want to encourage them to resolve the issues which are here, address all that sort of stuff, but that requires someone to walk down those steps. Out of the 120 odd members of Parliament,
Yeah.
I've heard of only one. I know that the reception was probably not that great, but maybe that's because that was not the person that they wanted
Yeah.
to be here to have this sort of conversation. And I know it's not an easy position to be in,
No, yeah,
but if that's what the people need.
yeah. I saw something come out on the news today. I was in a bit of a hurry, but it was along the lines of the leaders of the MPs, I think, have unanimously decided not to engage until we do certain things here, such as move vehicles and things. I personally think it's not a good idea to move the vehicles. I think we do need to actually keep the pressure on. That's my opinion. So,
I don't think that's really. I think that's a nice to have scenario for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a realistic expectation of them to have people here.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Because these people
Yeah.
have lost so much.
Yeah.
It's too late for them.
Yeah, that's
to
right.
Go anywhere. They are here.
They've tried other means already, right? Yeah.
There aren't any other means for them
No,
to
yeah.
be able to continue to go to work,
Yeah.
put food and, all of that on the table for them and their children, other than get vaccinated,
Yeah.
because a lot of employers have turned them away.
Yeah.
So a man who's had to close down 5 of his businesses throughout the country,
Wow.
and that was his inheritance plan for his children.
Wow, yeah.
That is all gone,
Yeah.
just like that. And so it's stories like that, like there has to be some negotiation that takes place, but it has to come on a even footing.
Yeah.
These people are not your enemy, they are your responsibility.
Yeah.
And so you have to find ways to engage with them to get the best result for everyone else. And you can't really say
Yeah.
that our way is the only way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because it's not working for everyone.
No.
Obviously, there are
Yeah.
people here, there are other people throughout the country, and just because they may be a minority,
Yeah.
it's not a good enough reason to not give them the time of day.
Sure, yeah. So this here is, I take it you're using water to kind of create an effect.
This is great juice.
Oh, it is actually great. Okay. Okay.
It's non-alcoholic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I like a little bit of flavour.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's just watercolour pencil on board.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really like I'm trying to keep in theme with what's going on the wall.
Yeah.
Just using chalk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a harmless medium.
Yeah.
It's almost like going back to childhood.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool because when you look at the structure, it's so grey,
Yeah.
dull.
Yeah.
And that is not a true reflection of where we are now.
No. Yeah.
When the building was designed originally and it was erected, sure, that might have fit that time period.
I think even at the time it was quite controversial. Apparently, it was sometime in the, I don't know when, it was mid 20th century sometime, and it was criticised a lot as well. I think some people liked it, but
It just sort of has this aesthetic which is not really a true representation, I feel.
No.
But that's why they have colour to the wall, and they love it.
Yeah.
Great, mate.
Thank you. We've had police officers come through,
Yeah.
and the other day they were here while I was doing the war alongside all of the other people,
Yeah.
and they loved it. They said it was the best thing that they had seen here, because it represents like these are people's voices
Yeah.
on Parliament grounds.
Yeah.
And if they don't, I know it may be seen as, we've got these historical monuments and stuff like that, but these are still our people.
Yeah. And it'll be amazing to know how many people end up coming here, because they won't all be here at the same time.
Oh, and they haven't been.
It'll be in the thousands. Yeah.
And people
Probably
have to
tens of
maintain
thousands.
what
Yeah.
livelihoods they still have in those capacities. So they're taking turns, they're flying in. I've met 5 people yesterday that flew in, Auckland, Christchurch, Whangarei. They came here because they felt the pull,
Yeah.
and they needed to be here because that was important to them.
Yeah.
I think everyone's still trying to understand what that common thing is, and
Yeah.
I think what it is actually is that they feel like their human right
Yeah.
has been infringed upon.
Yeah. I think it's liberties and rights, basically. Yeah. So.
All the other
Yeah.
stuff, all the extra stuff, that's
Yeah.
just, that's a part of it as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like because of what they saw the other day, and this is the same reason I came down,
Yeah.
that was enough to how they would move
Yeah.
and come here and be and make a stand. And like we may not all necessarily see eye to eye on things which each is saying.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the commonality is.
Yeah.
They saw something happen that they did not expect to see
Yeah.
happen in a peaceful protest in the nation's capital. So that's why they wanted to make a stand. It may have started in Canada, but actually a lot of these people have been protesting for different reasons
Yeah.
for a very long time.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Oh, well, it's awesome to me, mate. Yeah, thanks for the discussion. And this, I actually really do like genuinely do like this artwork. You know, I would be polite if I didn't like it, and say the same thing. But I actually authentically do like this because I like when people do art. I don't know what they call it. Do they call it mixed media, where they're using more than one type of element on the same work?
I'm a sort of whack everything together sort of character.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
take a bit of this, bit of that.
Yeah.
Actually, I left this here throughout the day. I haven't been in all day. I've gone
okay.
to go and do other things.
Yeah.
And then I've come back, and some other people have come along, and I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Because this
Yeah.
is all about freedom of expression.
Sure.
That's my job as an artist, to encourage people to feel free to express themselves.
Yeah. No, that's probably quite. Yeah, that's quite fascinating actually. Where something unexpected is being added to a work that you're creating. That's quite interesting in a way. Yeah.
And I don't want to take away from it or rub it away because I try and work with it because that means that somebody saw what I was doing and they wanted to contribute. I try and look at it in a different way. Not too precious about all this.
In a sense, that's another thing that makes this like the wall itself. People see the wall, they're influenced by what they see, and then they add something to it as well. So,
Possibly, and that's why it came down because I knew the arts was a very good and healthy thing to introduce into this space while the protest is happening, so people are channeling their anger from protesting in a positive way, in a peaceful manner.
Good,
So hopefully, government or whoever watches, they see that, and this is much better than people rioting and all that sort of carry on. I would prefer that they use chalk on the wall than whatever else could take place. And I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope that we just keep on creating art because that's
you're really helping here because having people play music, do art, there's other activities like I think there's a health tent and just a whole lot of different things. I think there's classes that they've organised for children.
That's us taking responsibility of looking after one another, right?
Yeah.
So I'm able to do that through the, encouraging people to vent through art. Musicians do it through encouraging people to dance and sing. Without those things, you just have a whole lot of angry people who are really upset, and that's when all the problems start. So that is a great responsibility for artists and musos to come along and be a part of these processes.
It's awesome. All right, well, thanks, mate. It's good to be here.
Cheers,
Take care. Probably see you around. Take care.
That's right.
How's it going, mate?
It's the best festival in town, man.
Best festival
How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate.
This is going live, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Have you just